be suspicious. What are they doing? Only one that's going to be in office are those that are amenable and answerable to them. I can't get in office. You can't get in office. You have to be selected. They put you up and they take you down. If they lose control of you, you're out of there. Give them, as Brother John was talking about the Hegelian dialectic process, and I don't want to talk too much about it. What you do, you advance 5 steps, do you take 3 steps back? You give them 5 steps of progress, do you take 3 steps back? In other words, they're unconscious of what is happening. And that's the little game that they play with us. Having said that about the wickedness that is in the world, we live in it, we are part of it, but we don't have to be wicked or evil. Jesus said, Father, I pray that you take them not out of the world, but keep them from the evil. Say, don't take them out. No, we're not going to be transplanted. We are the salt. If you take all the good out of the world, you have nothing but evil. So we must preserve and defend the faith. Having said that, let me draw your attention to the 3rd chapter of Revelation. Again, there are 7 churches that are addressed. This is about 1900 years ago. This was written, and I had better show you chapter 1 first, and we come back to 3, so you understand this, and please don't forget it. Chapter 1, verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass, and he sent and signified or symbolized it by his angel unto his servant John. You know what Jesus is saying? I'm going to let my church know what's going to happen in advance. If you skip down to verse number 3, blessed is he that readeth. We're talking about the book of Revelation, that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy. Prophecy. History written in advance. Prophecy. History written in advance. Say it's here. Outlined, highlighted, not all the details, but all of the pertinent events that are going to occur that are necessary for us to discern how to be prepared in the Bible. It's right here. So he takes 7 churches and he symbolizes the churches because he says it's going to be in symbolism. So this church in the 14th verse of chapter 3 existed. It was in existence, but there were certain characteristics in that church that were going to be characteristic in a particular era or a particular time, even though this little church will not be in existence, but the characteristics of that church would be dominant, prevalent, and pervasive. So we have to deal with prophetic characteristics. In verse 14, and unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things saith the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. This is Jesus speaking. I would that thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew or spit thee out of my mouth. This is the Lord talking about his church. He's talking about a spiritual condition that existed then and it exists today. This was foreshadowing what would be characteristic of the time in which we're living in. Here's the problem. Verse number 15, I know thy works. In other words, I know what you're involved in. I know about your activities. He said, they're not cold, they're not hot. Say, you cannot distinguish what you are by what you're doing. You're half of this and you're half of that. He said, I would that you were either good or evil, bad or good, be one or the other, but do not be lukewarm or straddle the fence. So he is convicting and condemning the church for being half of this, half of that, part of this and part of that. He said, no, you won't do that. Now, to show you how merciful God is, he tolerated the church. He trusted the church. He gave the church the benefit of the doubt by decision making. See, every one of us will make our own decision. They made a decision to be part of this and part of that. He said, your works, you're neither cold nor hot. He said, I would that you would be one or the other. Verse 16. So then, because thou art lukewarm, you're not cold, you're not hot, but you're in between. You're in that gray area. You're straddling the fence. It's called ambiguity. He said, because of that, I will spit you out of my mouth. God is saying you don't have to worry about the devil. He said, I will take the initiative and eradicate you. Now he's warning the church. He could have did it without warning. He's warning the church as the churches today are being warned by all the signs that are so visible that all you have to do, you don't even have to know the Bible to know that the world was in a volatile situation. You have to do what we have been programmed not to do. You have to do what we have been programmed not to do and are conditioned not to do, and that is to think. We will not think. Anything they say on the news, anything that's in the newspaper, it stops us from thinking because we assume that they are completely honest. And nothing could be further from the truth. Let me explain this about veracity. It's called veracity. It means that you're so close to sticking to the truth that you won't even try to stretch it when you think about veracity. Well, if you pick up the newspaper, the headline lead story in Troy, Schenectady, the Troy Record, the Albany Times Union, the Schenectady Gazette, the Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Times, what's this one in New York Times? All of them verbatim say the same thing. It wasn't like that before. How can a paper in Los Angeles and a paper in New York say the exact same thing verbatim? Because all of them are controlled by one source. The only thing that the publishers, I'm not talking about the little publishers, I'm talking about the money publishers, they don't care about local news. You can report, slant, do anything with local news, they don't care about that. But national and international policies, they're concerned about, so you have to print what the AP, American Press, or the UPI, United Press Association, what they say, and that's what's printed. They do not allow the editor to use his discretion because that's called control. All right, show you how they control it. It's obvious. 1987, as I told you, during President Reagan, he was the president of the United States during that time. Oliver North, during the Contra hearing, because our CIA, our government, was buying and trading drugs for Contras, making money on drugs and taking the money and buying guns from other countries to give to Contras in South America. They were not authorized. That was the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. They did it on their own. Well, who's controlling them? They're supposed to be under the auspices and control of the President of the United States. How does the CIA make a policy where they decide that they are going to sell drugs to raise money because Congress would not give them any money or appropriate any money to bail out the Contras to overthrow the government in San